Hello, I'm Jody Wolf, and you're watching Expose. I see February 27, 2020, 12:47 a.m. in Birmingham. Okay, all the talk about the coronavirus, I've got this to say about it, and I'm being as honest as I can be. And the reason I'm going to say what I'm about to is because timing is not right. Timing's not right for this coronavirus to be anything other than like those that we have had in the past few years. And the flu that from Mexico, and then this stuff come over from the Congo, and we've had about four different viruses, and and if you go back and really do some study, you will see that three of them were blamed on China, and I believe that this virus out now, I expect that it will die. And what I mean by that, I believe that fewer and fewer people will be infected, and it will have a lesser and lesser impact, and things will begin to get back to normal, perhaps by the end of spring. That's what I believe. I don't believe it's here to do complete harm, as in calling it like the Bible's calling it, those that'll hit during the final 7 years. Now, I'm not saying that this won't quieten down and then rise up to be an ugly beast 3 years from now. That could be the case, because I believe 3 years from now, the church will have been gone, and those left are in the tribulation. And I also want to correct myself on two blogs ago when I talked about no time left, or something. I can't even recall what I was. Anyway, the end is near is what I'm referring to. Those who are saved during the tribulation, and I said that they'll all die. Well, that's wrong. They won't all die. Those who accept Christ during the tribulation, they'll still go through man's punishment. Okay? They'll still go through that the Antichrist is going to give them, and they're going to hunt them down, and they're going to catch them. They're going to torture, jail, beat them up, behead them. And God says, you hang in there, and I'll give you a crown of life. That's what I meant to say as far as dying. But there will be a number, and no one knows the number, that will come out that are saved, that never died in the tribulation, that will come out. Remember, the earth has to be repopulated once again for 1,000 years, and then Satan will be released for a little while. But rather than draw it out for years, months, weeks, I'm going to say mere days, he'll regroup all those who did not accept Christ during the 1,000 years were nothing but peace and security and safety, no sicknesses, no illness. In fact, people are living to be, there'll be 1,000-year-old people living at the end of that 1,000 years. But yet, a great multitude of people in the billions will side with Satan. Even then, there'll be a great number that never accepts Christ during the tribulation. Only those that came during that millennium, but only those that came through the tribulation that had accepted Christ, they and the remnant, the 1/3 number of Jews that were saved, that were headed up and kept in safety in Petra, they will be the two groups, the church and the Jews, that will repopulate the earth. And if you sit back and think of the number of people that, Adam and Eve, how many people were here at the flood? I think at least 1 billion, don't you? You're talking about 1,200 years. Well, just say there wasn't. Say there was a 10 million. Well, get on the other side of the flood, and you have 8 come off of that boat. And then right on till today, it's 4,000 something years. We have 7+ billion people out of 8. 4 females, 4 males. So what do you think we will have in the number of people that will go into the tribulation, and say hypothetically, we know 1/3 of the Jews, we know there's going to be 2.5 million Jews, and half will be women, half will be men. And we know that those who come through the tribulation and make it into the next millennium will receive a crown of life, but we know they too will probably be pretty close to half women and half men. Look, all these will procreate for the next 1,000 years. So if you took 8 and started repopulating the earth and 750 years ago, what do you think millions, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million can do in populating the earth, starting where very few will die, very few will be ill and get sick, very few will, you're in paradise, you're in God's land. Jesus is our Lord and our King. We're safe. We live in paradise. But yet, how many do you think will be here? It's very easy to calculate the numbers if you want to base it off the time and the number of people that came through in Noah's day. Just simply divide a time up by 4 couples, shorten years, and then go here and take this next 1,000 years, and you start off with 1 million couples. I can see 100 billion people. I really can. Look, this world will sustain easily, if there was no fighting, no wars, no health care, because everybody's healthy, no guns, no battleships, no submarines, and all we gave was 10% total of what we earned to God, God's going to spend all that money building parks and churches and beautiful places for us to visit, adding on to all the homes that we all received that Jesus has already built for us. That's trillions of dollars, hundreds of trillions per year, just out of that 10%. You have no idea what a dollar bill is in tax. You get 100, pay tax on it. Then you buy gasoline, pay tax. Then you buy a candy bar, pay tax. Buy bread, pay tax. At the end of the year, pay property tax, car tag tax, driver's license tax. I mean, all these things. You end up with about 25 cents out of every dollar that you earn for yourself. Go back and look at that and think about that. In paradise, in the 1,000-year millennium, we'll get 90% of all that we earn. 90% is ours. 90% do all that we choose. And we'll have a home that is already free because Jesus built that home for us and he gave it to us when we got there. So you're not going to be paying property tax. You're not going to be paying for electricity, air conditioning. You don't need those things. God will furnish everything. So there's a big difference. And with that, there'll be a lot of land, and the land now that we have can easily be managed and grow enough to feed tens of billions of people and not even come close to running out of food. I know I went way over what I wanted to tell you about, and I got that out of the way up front. But the rest of it, I'm just saying it's something to think about. And because I believe when Trump is elected, and I hope by May 24, 2021, the church will be gone. If I'm not right, then I'll do a blog on that day and tell you I missed it. So I look for it for the next day and then the next until it happens. Guys, I love you all. Just please be ready. Please witness to anyone that you don't want to see someone you thought is a great guy, great gal, great neighbor, great friend, and all this time they were not saved. Find out. Witness to them. And that'll be another crown in your life. Jody Wolf Exposed.